we in the legal profession, we are taught very much to do things in a traditionally a very male, I'll just use male in the sense of we want to affect the actions of others. We're going to act outwardly. We're going to have a goal. We're going to work towards that goal in a very direct line. When we incorporate some energy healing practices, we open up a more feminine side of ourselves to hold space. And when you think about it, how do women hold space? It's a womb. It's a womb in which things grow and develop. And we hold space and things grow and develop and bubble. And, the more nutrition you take in, the healthier your body is. It's the same way with a legal case. The more good stuff you throw into that little womb, the more nutritious and full and satisfied other people are. In law school, I want law students to understand how this process affects them physically. Law school traditionally divorces you from more of your feminine side. We all need male and feminine energy inside of ourselves to become whole, to be healthy, to be complete. And the law school kind of divorces you from it. And there's a physical representation of that in your body. If you look at your heart, it really is the merging of two muscles. And it's kind of like this, the left side and the right side of the heart. And if you take your hands, it's actually about the size of your heart. And what the law school does, it actually divorces ourselves from our emotions. It tries to get all of our action motivated on the basis of intellect, on the basis of thinking. Our heart, energetically, actually separates a little bit. Here's the whole heart beating together, the sides merging. It is a unified portal. That's the most magnificent organ in the body. It's together. Law school creates a little separation there. And as lawyers, and I believe that little bit of separation has some lawyers be very prone to depression, very prone to anxiety. It feels like a part of you is missing, and that can create a lot of anxiety for people. And people graduate from law school, and after 10 years of practice, many people look in the mirror and they don't remember how to feel joy or how to have fun with their kids, or this separation gets a little bit more calcified, gets a little bit bigger. And so a lot of work I do with lawyers is to help them reconnect to some of those areas that we were taught to disavow. Now, some lawyers think that that's an occupational hazard. What do you mean? I can't get all emotionally involved in my clients, and I can't be feeling these things. And a good case of that was a Georgia lawyer who was losing all the feeling in his right side. And he goes, Jill, I can't, this part of me is getting numb, and, my leg, and, I hear you do different healing work, and, can you help me out here with this elbow and stuff? And I talked to him, and I said, well, what are you doing? And he's representing, his clients are all criminal defendants on death row. He's doing nothing but murder capital cases in Georgia. The whole right side of his body was getting numb, was dying off. This separation, and I talked with him and we worked a little bit, and it sounds to me like, do you think your physical symptoms might have something to do with what you're practicing? He said, well, I can't really feel that anymore. I can't allow myself to feel anything, because otherwise it would be too devastating. So we as a profession have identified feelings and emotions and empathy, even intuition, as being something potentially hazardous because of the pain and mortal danger that some of our clients are in because of the stress and situation. I mean, think of a surgeon cutting into a body. If they felt all the pain of that person as they were cutting in, they wouldn't be able to make that slice. Lawyers, same thing. If I felt personally attached to my client, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. So when I talk about the group peace process, when I talk about holding space, I'm talking about the highest and best interest for all concerned. This is a very safe place. It doesn't mean that you're going to rip your heart wide open and lose all your cases and never be able to function in the classroom or courtroom, never be able to represent your clients. It doesn't mean that you make yourself vulnerable, that you become a doormat, that you become weak, that you become vulnerable, whatever. This is an extremely powerful position. This is creation energy. This is one of the most powerful energies that there is holding space. And when you allow whatever's in the highest and best interest to come up, you know that you are not being placed in a position which it's not in the highest and best interest for you to be in. So holding space is safe, it's effective, it is healing, and it doesn't make you totally exposed. And here's an ethical question that people raise up. My clients would never let me do this with them. You know, if I started doing these practices in the middle of a class or a courtroom or something like that, you know, I would never be allowed to. You do this energetically. You ask, in my private practice, I did this with my clients. I did not engage my clients directly. I did it energetically. I think all but one of my clients didn't know that I did this. Energetically they did. Energetically they worked through this with me. And people say, oh, that's unethical, you shouldn't do that. When you pray for someone, do you call them up on the phone first and say, hey, can I pray for you? No, you do this. And because you need to do this. So when you do energy healing work, you need to do this. And there's no barriers. You don't necessarily have to ask your client permission directly. In fact, it's sometimes more effective if you don't. You don't have to go into the courtroom and say, Judge, let's see, your third chakra is a little off. Why don't you just raise your arm here and go like this? And no, I mean, you don't have to expose yourself in a courtroom in order to do this. Judges, what they'll do is, some judges who practice this, they come into the courtroom, they ground themselves, they get the energy flowing through them, and those robes are there for a reason, they're sitting there and grounding themselves, and then they set a container. They try to purify the area, and then they try to set up intentions for the highest and best interest to happen. They try to invoke truth-telling, peacemaking, or whatever. There are judges who are doing this right now. They don't go and ask permission from the plaintiffs and respondent lawyers to do this. They do it, and they're effective, and they're also protected and secure, and they're feeling healthier and stronger for doing it.